Hello, today I will be reading Boris Johnson Fanfiction. It's gonna be fun, I guess. So, here are the remarkable. Oh my god, that image just cracks me up. Um, so he did bad with COVID, A level bad, pretty much love his party bad. He is conservative and he it's not really about making good changes. About I don't really know. He has made some good changes, as we can see. He created the Boris spike and the Boris buff. So yeah, it really forgives every bad thing that his party stands for. It's conservatives are just kind of comparable to the Republicans. If any Americans are watching this video, take that as you will. But today, it is not about how outdated the philosophy of. I can't even say philosophy. Um, it's nothing about conservatives. It's about Boris, because Boris, even though he is bad, he has made some art. Well, other people have created the art for him. Oh no, Boris is gone. Oh, so over here oh, that's my Twitter. We have some Boris Johnson fan fiction, which is absolutely beautiful. I don't want to show it. I probably showed most of it, but we are going to start with loving Boris Johnson. I can't get over Boris Spike. Alright. After a wild night with Boris, ooh, cheeky, I rolled out of bed and landed on the floor. Thud. Boris quickly jumped and shouted safely. First, you put the helmet on my head, and I ruffled his sexy white hair. I don't want to go to work, I exclaimed, to which he replied, I have to. A city to run. You you guess. My dears. Oh dear, is this what I have to live with now? I smiled at him and got hungry. His hair looked like a bit like a poached egg. I mean, it's true. Like it. Couldn't help but think about breakfast. As I went downstairs, I could hear Boris Johnson upstairs shouting, London! No, I'm not doing that. I love London, the city of culture, food, ambitions. As soon as we had breakfast, we headed off to work. We walked 10 minutes to the local nearest Boris Pike stop. Finally, we were there, and I couldn't help but be seduced by him putting on my helmet. Slowly but tightly. Safety first, that's my motto. It's my dream cycling on a Boris bike with Boris himself. What else could you possibly want apart from to get a proper haircut? As I pulled up to work, I parked the bike and waved goodbye to Boris. He was off in a flash, but he suddenly turned around. How romantic, I thought. But when he got back to me, he asked me to pick up a loaf of bread. Uh, Something's never changed. That was beautiful, and but sadly, it's to be continued, and it most likely will never be continued, which is sad. I think if I was going to, think I would make a sequel to this if I wanted to, because it's pure art. Follow if you probably want more, I guess. I don't know. Oof. No, I'm not sharing that to Facebook. Um, Alright, so on the oh, cringeometer, I'm gonna rate that a 0. That was art, not cringe. Now, this one is a bit longer than the next one, and will be the final one. This is Boris Johnson times reader. That means we get to get in the action. You sat in the waiting room, awaiting the arrival of Labour's current MP, Jeremy Corbyn, daydreaming about nothing in particular while tapping your pen against the table. Everyone else in the room seemed perfectly calm, having already met the man while your heart pounded in your chest, threatening to burst. Did no one else feel the stress that this election brought you? You needed to win and stop awful Boris Johnson from getting into the office. An abrupt start to the meeting shocked you. Corbyn had arrived as it appeared, and everyone else had stood up to greet him and shake his hand. Immediately followed suit upon the realization. Polite smiles and small talk seemed to lace the room with awkwardness. Righto, shall we proceed with the meeting? A man at the head of the table asked, looking deliberately at the most powerful man in the room. Jazza. Said man nodded in response, a kind smile on his lips, before turning to face back to the projected image of the screen. There stood, in all his glory, Boris Johnson, leader of the opposition. He was at a podium, saying words you were unable to hear over the chatter in the room. We've discovered information that implies Boris will be selling the NHS. I've called this meeting to discuss our next step. A woman across from you explained. Your eyes never left Boris's thick body, eyeing him from head to toe while everyone conversed. Crossing your legs, aroused by the delicious sight the screen offered, you tore your eyes away, fearing for your job if anyone found out. Had he always looked this hot? You thought to yourself, having seen him before, but never having had these thoughts over him. His silky pale hair looked ruffled and unruly, making you want to run your fingers through it and grip it hard during moving on. His eyes drooped slightly, a sign of his age along with the creases that lined his forehead and his mouth. God, he was so sophisticated and mature. His mouth wore a lopsided grin, showing off his not so pearly white, or rather yellow, stain from his tea. The large sloping shoulders that made your eyes trail further down, leading them to get Brexit done sign. Its policies brought you back again, away from the edge of falling for the man, cut you, and you bleed Labour red. Tories had no place in your heart. Okay, this is actually interesting. I really like the premise. I'm gonna follow this guy. Oh, I guess that's better good. Okay, next part. Bumping into Boris. This looks beautiful. Your mind was swarmed with the idea of what you do to Boris if you ever saw him in real life, the whole way through the meeting, making you sigh contentedly while the meeting ended. Finally, you were free to have the thoughts you'd been unable to keep away without any meddling co-worker spotting your constant staring at Boris. Winter's cold breeze whisks at the trees and your face from the moment you stepped inside. But with no lift home, you'd have to grin and bear it, fixing your skirt and pulling a compact umbrella out of your handbag. You left the cover you'd had and entered the worst of the wind. 7th of December, a few days before the election, you reminded yourself knowing it was what you needed to focus on, and not these new, irritating feelings you'd started having as of late. You shook your head and started walking, trying to ignore the blatantly obvious and get home as soon as possible. The light taps of rain on your umbrella had begun to grow heavier, and puddles were forming around you. Street lights shone on them, their reflections glittering in the shallow pools, while cars rushed through them, distorting the image and splashing you. Ah! You jumped, shocked by the sudden cold, damp feeling from the spray of water. It dripped down your face and from your hair on one side, having completely drenched you. You'd be looking at the floor and hadn't noticed that anyone was around you until a hand came into view, holding a posh-looking handkerchief. You gratefully took it, drying your face before looking up to thank your benefactor. Your eyes met with the blue of none other than the man of your recent lustful thoughts. Boris Johnson! Boris Johnson Senpai. Leader of the Conservative Party, and your sworn enemy. Had he not seen the badge on your coat that read Vote Labour, or did he simply not care? The handsome man continued staring at you, waiting for a response of some sort. In your shock, you found yourself unable to give one. Okay, that is amazing. Oh, probably gonna share that on Twitter because that is beautiful. Wonderful. Twitter, my Twitter follower is gonna hate me. Alright, I'm a cringeometer that was about I'm gonna say a 2 out of 10.